Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video, and today we'll be reviewing the Wonder Woman movie. So off the bat, wow, just fucking wow, this movie is amazing. I'm going to be swearing a whole load because I have no words. I literally have zero complaints about this movie. I just adore what they did. So I'm going to be going over what I loved about this movie, which is basically all of it. But be sure to go see it at the cinema if you haven't seen it yet. So at the start I was like, wow, the DC intro. What a great new opening intro, as we see an intro panning across of the whole Justice League, where it seems like a lot more than what we know already. So when it zooms out and I'm like, what the hell, this is just insane, as we see a whole load of other heroes. So I feel like that intro is some sort of foreshadowing that DC is doing. So it definitely gave me some flashbacks to the Justice League animated series with all the heroes lined up. I was like, there is so many characters, so many silhouettes. So I literally screamed a scream of joy seeing such an amazing, cool intro, which definitely got me more hyped for the film than I already was, and I'm like super hyped before I watch this. So fingers crossed that we get further films with all of these characters, as I think that would be insane. So I saw like Hawk Girl, maybe like Booster Gold. I saw a few really cool people, but it was mainly silhouettes. So yeah, it was just amazing, that intro. But wow, the look of their mascara was amazing. The color palette they used was just the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. Just looking back on the scenery and the Greek-inspired architecture, ooh, I get the chills. And I love the way that the little Diana was portrayed, that she was the only child and that she was different, which again I felt like was a cool use of foreshadowing about her power over man and that she's actually a god. But wasn't she so cute when she was running through the streets to go watch the Amazonian warriors train? And oh yes, was she determined to fight, as we see her in the background imitating all of her moves. And I loved that scene so much. And once again, the cutest thing ever happened when she tried to convince Hippolyta to let her use his shield to start training. She was like, just the shield then, no sharp edges. That was like one of my favorite lines of the film, and I just really loved that. It was unbelievably cute, and I thought, whoever the actor is, I'm not too sure who the young Diana was, I'd just give her so many ratings for that. But following on from that, Diana had a very compelling mood to her, thinking of only the innocent, like a true hero should, unlike Superman or Batman, standing her ground even against Ares. And oh boy was she amazing, like when she stood up to the generals with Steve Trevor saying, you should be ashamed of yourself, where I come from, generals fight with their soldiers. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true, you better do that, get your ass up and fight. So I loved all of those scenes where emotion poured through her, and that all that compassion in the room, which is truly her superpower, as she fights for others, even the power of God. She believes that everyone is worth fighting for. So I must move on now to my favourite scene in the whole movie, when they're in the trenches and Steve tells her to stay down and she denies it, and that they're not supposed to go into no man's land. But I love the scene, and she goes, and that's what I'm going to do. As she takes off her clothes, in slow motion she walks up in a Wonder Woman gear, and she walks up the ladder like an absolute badass, and the music rolls in, and oh my god, did I freak out. I had goosebumps all over my body. I was speechless. I was literally going crazy. I was like, how much power and how much greatness went into the scene. It was just so good. Definitely the best superhero scene I've ever seen. And as she steps up into no man's land and blocks all of the bullets with her hand, as she fearlessly charges to the Germans, and as the music builds up, she inspires Steve and all of the army to get up and fight, and they all run into no man's land, guns blazing. Wow, I just love the scene so much, and I desperately need to see this film again. If you haven't seen this, I don't know why you're watching, but it was just a masterclass of how good that scene was. Like 100% my best scene like in any film. So let's move on to Steve Trevor and what I thought of him and Diana. So first off, the chemistry between him and Diana was over the moon, and I loved how he believes in her, and how everyone else was like, she's crazy, Ares doesn't exist, you know. And in the end, he was a hero too. I loved that he sacrificed his life in order to save thousands, in which Wonder Woman would definitely do the same thing. So I felt like that was a very strong connection that they had together, and I thought Chris Pine did an excellent job. I don't think they could have cast a better actor to play that role. I also loved all the funny scenes when he sort of explains what it's like to be human and man in this world, in the outside world rather than in Themyscira, and I thought those scenes were very amusing, and I thought they went over the top, you know, like say Guardians of the Galaxy when they were totally ramming us with funny jokes, and I'm like, that was a bit dry. But all this amusing, all these funny scenes with like Etta Candy, I thought they were very good. They were very sort of toned down, and I thought they worked very well with the tone of the movie, if you understand. Like, I wouldn't like if it was just all humor the whole time, or just all no humor, like say Batman vs Superman. So I thought that was a very good choice on DC's behalf. And what I also really loved was Diana's interactions with people in the real world, sort of giving her another persona rather than just being this Amazon god. And she explores what it's like to be human, and I loved that scene when we get to see her run over to the baby. She's like, oh, it's a baby. And I was like, oh, it's so good. Such a small moment, but it was just amazing. I loved that. And I loved the use of clothing in the London scenes. I thought it was very good get-up, and it sort of reminded me of like Cara Danvers from Supergirl, with her not needing glasses but using that very blendable get-up. So it's like hiding in plain sight. So I thought that was very effective, and I thought it fit in really well, and it sort of just hides her Wonder Woman persona for a minute, and we're like, oh, this is Diana. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. And so, okay, moving on to the big bad, yes, Ares. Wow, I love David Thewlis. I loved him as Lupin in Harry Potter, and I've always admired his work as an actor. And him being revealed as Ares, I was like, yep, you couldn't have got a better actor to do that. Regardless of the CGI being a bit iffy, that's what you get in these massive fight scenes, so I totally respect them for not being scared of using that and not making it super realistic. I just loved all of his lines as he tries to explain to Diana his opinions, and that Zeus created this plague, which being mankind, but Diana realizing that they are more than that, that humans, they run by love, and that's what should power us rather than hate or anger. And myself, I was very happy they didn't go for an average villain, you know, with that very strong get up, you know, muscular and formidable. So I liked that he sort of talked his way through the whole fight. It was just perfect. I thought he was an amazing villain. That ending scene was beautiful. I loved all that pure passion and emotion that went into Diana realizing that Steve had died, and that she knew what she was fighting for, and that pure anger and passion was amazing. She was like a lion. She roared practically. You should have seen her. It was just crazy. She went crazy, demolishing everything in the way, taking out all these soldiers, and she ended up obliterating Ares, and that power, she absorbed Ares' lightning, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. So near the ending, after the battle had been won, we hear what Steve truly said before. We saw a version of this scene, but we didn't hear. It was inaudible as she was near an explosion. So he gave her his watch, which we later seen in present day. So Steve is a very big thing for Diana's character, and going into Justice League and everything, he will be a very big influence for what she fights for these people. And all these people that sacrifice themselves, that is why she fights. And I was tearing up, emotions running, and that scene was shot to perfection with the mix of tragedy and self-sacrifice and sadness. It was so good together. But who knows, Steve could be alive. Remember, she's a god, maybe she can just like call up to the heavens, say, oh, can Steve Trevor be alive? Let's bring him back for a moment. So the next thing is Queen Hippolyta and Antios. I thought they were absolutely wonderful, with them ending up doing the right thing. Hippolyta coming to the realization that letting Diana go is the right thing to do, and she was meant for more than just training in Themyscira, but I'm hoping we get to go back to Themyscira soon. And Antios going out in a blaze of glory, protecting Themyscira. Like, what the fuck? The Germans find this amazing island, and their first reaction is to start shooting it up. And I'm like, come on, people, these are the Amazons we're talking about here. They're gonna wreck your ass. And as we know, they do. So a lot of Amazon lives were sacrificed there, but it was an amazing fight scene. So it was very sad seeing that Antios did get shot, but she was like foreshadowing again. She was like the god killer. She didn't say the god killer sword. So we found out, technically we found out that she is the god killer, and that Diana is the way to stop this war. So that's all I got. Overall, this film blew me away. I would give it a million out of 10 if I could do that. Like, this is the sort of superhero movie we need. Like all the Marvel films and all the previous DC films, need to take a slice out of Wonder Woman. And Gal Gadot was just freaking amazing. I thought she was an amazing actor and she did a super good job as Diana and Wonder Woman. And I think she's going to be amazing going into Justice League, and she's going to be like the main star, including obviously Batman and Superman and everyone, but she is what drives them. And I cannot wait for a Wonder Woman 2 movie, as they have been in talks of doing that, because I think they would be stupid if they didn't do that, considering how good Wonder Woman was. So anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.